there aren't any cats in this building in the slums. So if you wanted to voice an NPC, you should have talked to me about it earlier. Okay. So great. We're starting. Yes?
Yes.
Oh, are we?
I believe so.
I don't know, you're the DM, you're the one to tell us.
Okay, well, we're not starting then. Fuck you guys.
Okay, well,
Okay.
I will see you guys.
No! No, don't leave. We're starting.
Alright, since we're not starting yet, I'm gonna be back in an hour.
Nap time.
Nap time. Okay, so. Last time on Blackbriar Slums. Gotta clear my throat real quick. So yeah, to say that you guys had a long night last session would be understating it. After surviving the Thieves Guild ambush with your lives, and after taking 2 of the Guilders hostage, your party fled to Kazara's apartment to hide from the oncoming horde of Thieves Guilders. After a brief and rather non-effective interrogation, all of you decided it best to make for the slums, where, having received a note under the door, you knew you would be able to seek refuge from the guild. After a rather tense night of sneaking, throughout which were many close calls, your party arrived at the slums and was taken to a large hall, almost identical in its construction to the Drunken Owl, except in much worse condition, with a mangled stub where a similar watchtower probably once stood. None of you could see it from this angle. Once inside, it became apparent that this building, as opposed to the tavern, was some sort of throne hall. In the throne across the room from you guys sat a black dragonborn clad in raggedy black robes with white cloth wraps adorning his wrists, and after a moment of observation, he stood and to your party spoke. "Welcome to the slums." So, seeing that your party was basically dead on their feet, the slumlord arranged lodging for all of you in a larger shack, which served as a safe house for refugees, overseen by a very homely, elderly dwarvish lady named Edrin. The shack itself is in the upper tiers of the stacks, or the buildings that are erected on stilts against the inside of the outer wall. You're probably upwards of 6 to 8 stories above ground level in this shack here. And so yeah, we find our party as they wake from their sleep at around midday. Kaz, you are still meditating.
Alright.
Yeah. Thogek and Rin, you are pulled back to consciousness when the smell of hot stew and warm bread enters your nose, and the door to your shack is thrown open. "Alright, lads! Lunch is served. Get on up now, or you'll sleep the day away."
I throw the pillow.
Oi! She shuts the door, and it hits the inside of the door.
I walk over and pick up his pillow, and then use his pillow and lay back down.
I just kind of lay there for a bit, my feet dangling off the bed. And
Your legs dangling off the bed. Let's be modest here.
and then I just get up and just kind of sit on the bed and look around.
Okay, yeah. So it's kind of a low bed. Well, it's like a normal height bed, but your knees are a little higher.
Yeah.
It really is just a very homely shack, probably about 20 by 10 or 15 feet. Maybe a little larger than that, actually. But it is certainly a wooden shack, with wooden floor, thatch roof, quickly constructed, but not, open to the air per se or anything. This is really kind of bare bones, actually. There's 2 beds, one for you and one for Rin, who is now sleeping with 2 pillows.
One of which is under my head, and the other one is now over my head. and I'm using my the ability to see through my familiar to see what's going on in the room while I'm sleeping.
So yeah, I imagine he's kind of perched on one of the bedpost of the bed. And so then you're just kind of observing the room as well. It's a very basic room. Maybe there's a dresser against one wall with kind of a half-dead flower sat on it, but this really is kind of more of a safe house, just a place to regain yourself after a night such as the one you guys had. But yeah, you definitely smell and see a little bit of smoke wafting across the window outside Thogak, which appears to be coming from some sort of balcony that's clearly attached to the building, and which you would know when you entered the building earlier in this day at like 6 in the morning. You kind of walked up this winding stair up the stilts that hold this building up this high, and there's a brief balcony outside with a table and.
Noticing the food and everything, I'm just gonna quickly get up, get my sandals on, and head out.
Okay. So you do pass Kazara on the way, who is still sat in a corner, seemingly meditating.
I am most certainly still meditating.
I'm going to just give him a nudge with my foot.
Okay.
What is it?
Food.
Alright, I could go for some food. How was your night? Oh, large one, whose name I don't think I've learned yet.
Food first.
You're a very straight, single-minded man. I can appreciate that. Yes, food.
It's gonna be like massaging my head while walking to the food.
Okay. So yeah, you can definitely smell it, and it smells pretty good. Some sort of meat kind of boiling.
So imagine if you had your hands out, right? Kind of hands are kind of like out, like you're holding a baby.
Mm-hmm.
There's a pillow there, and my head is on the pillow as I get up, and then Slash kind of goes where my head would be. And so I'm still laying, but he's like there where my head would be. And I'll start getting up and moving like that.
You're just sitting kind of where your neck is like lent down into the pillow.
Exactly.
Oh my god, yeah, okay. So yeah, Thogak, you'd make it to the door first. And you open this door and step out onto this balcony to see quite the view, actually. It's kind of a pretty view, the best you've seen of this city by far. From here you can see the entire city spreading outwards from you. Sloping downwards from you, you see the stacks kind of transition into the slums, where they are now at ground level in a kind of gradual bowl-shaped kind of deal. And then, thusly, you see where the slums transition into the city proper. Kind of a harsh transition, actually, of wooden shacks and tents into stone buildings, kind of rode off by one specific facade of buildings that kind of acts as what you can visually tell is some sort of kind of barrier for where the slums begin and end. From here you can see the mangled building in which the slumlord resides, as well as the fallen watchtower that lay next to it, which you can now see actually, seemingly having tipped over at some point. So basically it's the large barn structure, kind of like the Drunken Owl, which lays in the slums, and then next to it there is a fallen watchtower that lay on its side.
Lovely view, isn't it?
Yeah. From across the city, you see the singular watchtower looming above the Drunken Owl, almost piercing the veil of clouds that rests atop the city, but to no avail. I said veil. No. No. Yeah, but it is, once again, a very dense, just gray, cloudy day. But yeah, to the left of the door, at the leftmost end of the balcony, there's a table at which your elderly dwarven host stands, pouring some sort of meat stew into bowls.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm a vegetarian.
I'm going to hurriedly shove past Kazara and grab a bowl, and then hearing that, I'm gonna grab the other bowl.
Oh, it was a joke, lad. Come on, mate. Give me my bowl.
She also placed a steaming loaf of bread, just perfectly glistening.
I'll grab the loaf of bread.
The whole thing.
Yep.
Pal, come on. Share.
What?
You're twice our size, I get it.
Yes.
Come on.
I split it in half and just take half the loaf.
You wouldn't have any more of that where that came from, would you, love?
Of what? The bread?
Yeah.
I've
Our
probably got some inside.
larger-than-life friend seems to be keen on keeping it all to himself.
Yeah, sure thing. Well, just 1 second then. And she kind of pushes herself by you. Rin, I imagine you pass her as you also exit out onto the balcony.
And like as she walks by, I like grab, because she's the one that's holding the bowls. You said, right?
Not anymore. She was pouring
okay.
the stew into bowls at the table.
Ah, okay. Yeah. And then as you walks by, I go, and I just keep going.
She kind of looks at you. She looks at Slash, kind of like, what in the world? And just kind of keeps on walking. She goes back in the house for now. So, yeah,
I walk up to bowl and put bowl on pillow next to head.
So yeah, there's 3 seats at this table.
Pillow goes on table with bowl, and head goes on pillow.
I am trying to sit comfortably in one of these chairs and just go to town eating.
All right.
Dipping the loaf into the stew and taking a huge bite out of it.
Yeah, which is pretty good actually. The stew itself is quite good. Very brothy, the liquid in it, and it's kind of the meat, from what you can tell, is kind of sinewy, chicken-like meat, but it has kind of a gamey taste to it.
I don't care, and I just keep eating.
Alright.
I am going to basically just drink like half the bowl's worth until the bread gets here.
Okay.
I am lightly sipping on it.
Okay. It's very sippable. Every now and then you get kind of like a noodle-style string of meat.
Yeah, just slurp that up.
Weird one. Eat up, pal. Down it all in one go.
The owl Slash looks up at the really big one, expecting like that you're talking to him.
No,
Talking to the big.
I called you weird one, not big one.
Oh, you mean us? Oh.
No,
Slash, stop looking weird. You're making us look weird.
So yeah, eventually she comes out that door and kind of has a sack of some sort, and she just pulls the loaf out and places it not quite in the middle of the table, more towards Kaz, keeping an eye on Thogak. She says, "It's not going to be warm, but it's edible for sure."
It does not need to be warm. Thank you much, love.
No problem.
Fantastic food, by the way.
Hey, thank you.
The thumbs up goes up.
Then I go to reach for the other loaf.
And I smack your hand because I was about to say I was groping for it myself. So like groping for it, and I just smack your hand.
I just keep eating.
And I'm dipping the loaves of bread. The loaves, multiple.
Just one in each hand, just dip, crunch, dip, crunch. Oh man. Yeah. She's kind of lingering for a second, and she kind of pokes her head, and she's like, "Can I get you guys anything else, or?"
Something to drink.
Okay. What?
I point at him. And then I touch my nose.
Is there anything in particular you'd like, or just water? We've got water.
Thumbs up.
Oh, okay.
I could go for some water.
Oh, right. Perfect. So we've got water.
If you have it.
Don't have
Water
wine.
will be fine.
Oh no, we don't have wine. Okay. And yeah, she heads back inside.
Fuck the water. Bring me wine.
Bring me wine. Yeah.
Don't fuck the water. I want to drink it.
Kelsey,
Yeah.
what's your D&D Beyond login?
You already know this.
Yeah, except my phone broke. Anyway, moving on. I continue dipping the loaf, my half of the loaf, into the stew. What little remains of it.
I take half
Just
of my half.
savoring every moment.
Half my half goes to Slash, and the other half goes to me.
So you get one of the colder loaves, so it's probably not as good as you can imagine it being, you know, like a nice hot loaf of bread with this nice stew, but it's definitely not bad.
I cast Prestidigitation on it to make it taste like it has butter on it.
Oh, that's real good. The butter makes this kind of weird with the broth, but it definitely gives it an extra kick that it didn't have before. So yeah, you all are kind of just sitting quietly and hearing the sounds of food being slurped and chewed and munched and crunched and...
And the further down the bowl gets, the higher my head lifts.
So yeah, Thogak, I imagine you finish yours quite quickly. Well, for one, you're a much larger being, and you are borderline drinking it.
Yeah.
You're finishing it as she kind of sets down a little wooden kind of cup full of water in front of you, and then places one in front of each of you.
More stew, please.
Oh, sure.
More? No, sorry.
Yeah, there's a cauldron right next to the table, kind of a smaller, medium size with stew in it and a large ladle, and she kind of gets the ladle and holds her hand under it and kind of walks it over to the table and pours some in your bowl. So
Then I just go back to eating.
what if you don't mind my asking, how does someone of your stature find themselves in this town?
With a guide.
Oh, one of these fine gentlemen, I presume. She's kind of looking at Kaz, and then she looks at Ren, and then back at Kaz.
Ren's
she looks
doing
at
that. Ren's doing that thing with your hand, with to the throat, no, stop, don't, cut out. No.
I'm not acquainted with this man.
She looks very confused at that. She's kind of looking around at all three of you sitting at the table.
Don't bring it up.
I just stuffed my mouth.
Look,
Okay.
you know how this town can be. Suffice to say, there is plenty of a reason they haven't slept for nearly a full day.
Fortunately, that's the way it goes sometimes when you're on the run from the guild. I won't ask. I won't ask. I'm sorry. And she kind of walks back inside, and you just hear her oh, stupid, you shouldn't have asked. She shuts the door. You can hear her kind of piddling around inside.
You should have answered the poor woman.
Why?
Be kind. Respect your elders and all. I mean, she's not more elderly than I, but still, it's the thought that counts.
Ugly people need more help feeling not ugly. I need to talk to them.
Just,
that was completely in character.
I'm just going to keep eating.
Okay. You're almost finished with your second bowl. I'd say Kaz and Ren, you guys are probably finishing right about now with your first.
Okay. That was fantastic.
Well,
Now,
at least she can cook. It makes up for her face.
you two, names. Sorcerer.
Whose name are you asking for?
Both of yours.
Us. Thogak.
Thogak. Interesting name.
Ren, son of Trinith. This is Slash. And I pointed the owl.
Cool, that's an owl. I don't think I'm going to be referring to him by name. Now,
Slash
Ren,
looks
son of
upset.
Trinith, can we
Oh.
like cut off that last bit of the name? Can I just call you Rin or Trinith or son?
No, don't call me Trinith.
Can I call you
There's
son?
someone who will be very upset if you start calling me that. You can call me Ren. By the way, sorry, no accents, guys. I can't do any
Well,
of
wait,
them.
No
we've already
worries.
loosely established your character does various accents from time to time, so...
If we're giving our full names, Stogak and Akathalai. Some call me Wolf Speaker.
Wolf Speaker, eh? How'd you get a title like that?
I speak with wolves.
I watched once.
Like
I
literally?
once watched someone run a Cathalai.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, it was like a bunch of things. It was like five events. They had to all run and do them. It was in a Cathalai or something like that.
Just nod my head. Yes, my
don't believe
my
it.
family does have good festivals.
I'm a little confused. I'm sorry. So what are you? Forgive me if that's a little rude, I just,
Me or
fancy
the
race.
bird?
Yes, you. I believe the bird is a bird.
I am a Goliath.
Well, I can see that, yes. What race are you?
A Goliath.
That's what you call yourselves.
That's what others have called us.
What do you call yourselves, then?
Goliaths.
Ow. Ow. It hurts to laugh. Ow.
Not just a straightforward man, but a straightforward race, too. I can definitely... You do not belong here.
Cough away.
And as for you, sorcerer, and owl, what are you?
Stuck here.
I just
Yeah, you're
point
about the
at
opposite of
him and just
straightforward.
nod with food in my mouth.
You're not supposed to agree with the what? Oh, no. So what are your plans after this, you two?
Well, I left most of my shit in a different tavern, so I'm gonna go get that. Plus, I paid for a room there. So beyond that, I might go talk to a Crow-Anus.
The what?
An Archduke Crow-Anus.
Interesting name.
I'm just not.
I just gotta stare at you flabbergasted. Also, you do realize that it's highly unlikely that we'd be able to just waltz back through town.
Listen, I have no plans on dancing.
Yeah, I don't dance well.
My
Eyes
character's
just
my
kinda
character's
flick
grinning.
back to both of you, like, mouth just slightly open.
Because my character knows exactly what I'm doing now that I know his character's like super literal. Like, yep. So I'm just grinning.
Hmm.
Why would we dance down the streets? There's people who want us there.
That's what I'm saying. See, he was planning on dancing down the street. And I
He
point
just
out
said
that-
he wasn't.
Exactly.
Yeah, but he said he was before.
Nah, I just said I was gonna go there. You're the one that said waltzing.
Right, what are your plans, big man?
You know there is a difference between going
No,
somewhere
I'm an elf.
and
I don't know the
dancing,
difference.
right?
I do not know the difference. Forgive me, I'm an elf. It's how we are, you know.
You look odd, even for an elf.
Just a bit dark. God, that's a little racist, don't you think?
Alright, what was your
I was
name
talking
again?
about your eyes, but
Oh, my eyes. Well, you know, can't really help them. Anyway, what's
my
your
name was
plan?
Thogak.
No,
Yeah, thank
not
you.
you, Thogak.
Oh, that was that. He elf.
Yeah.
Elf.
Yeah, Elf, what's your name?
Name's Kazara. Please, call me Kaz.
Call you Kaz.
Makes it
Alright.
easier on both of us to trust me. No last name, so don't worry about that.
It's okay, we can't all have a last name.
I know, son of Trinith.
Everyone's a son of someone.
Yeah, a lot of bastards out there are sons of bitches, that's for certain.
This is true.
Now, big man, what's your plans?
Well,
Well,
still trying to figure that out. See. Now, DM, remind me. We did kill the one who
Yes.
had the dagger, right?
Yes, you did.
We killed the one who killed my friend.
that we did. I believe that's what you did, in fact.
So I believe my plans are still the same. I'm looking for someone. Her name is, drawing a blank.
Evelyn, her name is
Evelyn.
The voice of the god.
name is Evelyn.
Evelyn.
Thank you. I don't know why
God?
I can't think of it, but Evelyn.
Evelyn. Sounds like an uptight elf to me.
I know a few of those. Stares pointedly at Kaz.
Just going to.
Excuse me.
No, you're excused.
You're excused. Yeah. Have you heard anything about anyone named Evelyn?
Can't say I have, no.
Pulls out notebook of people I've had sex with. Not here.
Oh, is that your? I don't know what the equivalent of address book.
Yes, this is my little black book.
He looks a bit short. He might be a dwarf. Might be his list of grievances.
I'm not that short. I'm pretty average for my race. My unfortunate race.
I agree. You are a little short,
See?
but
Big man,
so
I
is
know
this
what
one.
I'm talking about. I'm not that much shorter than you, come on. He says, standing like 3 feet shorter.
Right.
Anyway, this Evelyn, the woman, I assume. Any description? Because names aren't exactly something that... They're not helpful around here. I guarantee you I can dive into the Elvish district and find about 6 different women named Evelyn. And trust me, there will not be a single one that you're looking for.
Did we have a picture of
Yes.
Evelyn?
Yeah, you have a
Do
very
I have
nicely
it?
drawn portrait. Yeah, you
Okay.
and Sandon both had one.
I'm going to pull it out.
Kaz, it looks remarkably like Rhiannon, but there are obvious differences. But upon first glance, you're like, oh my, oh no, it's not.
Well, first of all, that is most certainly not an elf. And second of all, how the hell did you get to know this woman?
Fuck. Ooh.
Just going to, raise a brow. She came to my village with Manai.
And I.
Hmm.
Right. I
Many
don't know
what?
this Manai
Comes,
character.
came with many what?
Oh, no. Manai is his name.
Ah. Well, any idea what she's doing here?
None.
Do you know that she's here?
I believe we heard a tip that she was here.
Specifically, you heard a tip in Phandalin a week ago that she was there about a year ago, and that she had headed in the direction of here. So this is like one of two places she could have gone from there.
Okay. We heard that she might have been heading in this direction from Phandalin.
How long ago would she have been here?
Only a year.
A year.
It's not long at all.
Look, I'm the elf here. I know a year isn't long, but... Does she have some kind of combat ability? Because, trust me, she wouldn't have lasted long here.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure she could beat me.
What? Excuse me, sir. What? Is she really good with a sword? What?
I can't remember how Evelyn fought.
She had a sword, didn't she? Like a moon sword or something?
She had a moonblade. She was a Way of the Kensei monk and multi-classed a cleric.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. That's right.
Starts writing in book like strong women.
Okay. Well, I haven't heard anything about this particular character. Evelyn, you said it. Alright. Well, keep an eye on, I suppose. Thanks to you
That
guys,
would be
though,
appreciated.
all of my plans have been thoroughly ruined. And,
Oh.
I'm pretty sure we may or may not have gotten some people killed in our exploits.
Haha,
People that we
good.
weren't- No, people that we were trying to avoid getting killed. Moron.
I look at my hand. I look at Slash. I'm like, no, most people I care about.
There was no one we killed that I did not want to die.
Yes, well, that's great. That's, yes, the goal. After all the fighting. I mean other people. People I was trying to protect.
You're trying to protect the people that killed his friend?
No.
Are elves always like this, speaking
Yes.
in riddles?
We are. Don't worry.
I nod.
Trust me, the high elves are much worse.
I nod even harder.
Yes, I can see high elves would be worse. Couldn't make out a word they say, probably.
Yeah, typically not, no. They usually speak with such heavy accents anyway.
You all do, but you all say I do.
I mean, you do though.
That's how accents work.
Well, we should go probably meet with our slumlord. He no doubt wants to talk to us.
Right.
I'm filling up another bowl.
So you kind of stand up, Thogak, and you're right. Like I kind of imagine it like there's like a window kind of on the wall looking out over the balcony in the city, kind of by the table. And as you stand up, you hear like a glass fall over, and like a scrabbling, and just and like the window shuts a little bit, and you kind of see the dwarf lady kind of like away from the window, inconspicuously.
It's okay. If you were listening in, you don't have to hide. You can listen.
It's fine. I'm gonna go put pants on now.
She peeks her head out of the door and looks down.
Not wearing pants. Not wearing pants.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
I go put on all
Are
my
pants
stuff.
required still?
Please,
I
dress
shake.
modestly.
As I'm behind Kaz and I look back at you, I shake my head.
Please dress modestly, as I'm only wearing pants.
Oh, that's true. You are only wearing pants and
Various
slippers.
straps of leather and sandals, not slippers.
Sandals, slanders, slappers, slappers.
And they are combat sandals, so slight difference, not much though.
All right, you Roman. Okay, yeah. So she kind of steps outside and is cleaning off. Did you say you got another bowl of stew?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's like the last bowl of stew. You kind of have to you tilt the cauldron up and pour a little stew into there. It's actually a lot more meat than it was in the first few bowls. All the stuff that's kind of collected on the pot. So you got this is like the best bowl of stew for sure. And yeah, there's no more bread left, unfortunately. But
Oh dang, that's
yeah,
gonna
no. You guys worked through the bread pretty quickly, but yeah, she's kind of out tidying bowls and stuff. And
I'm going to check both of their bowls. Any food left over?
Not in mine. Anything that was /8.
And look at Kazara. Any
Take it, big man. Jesus.
I take it and just pour the rest in my bowl and then hand him back his bowl.
You can keep the bowl. It's your duty not to clean.
I just set it on the table.
yeah, so she's kind of like collecting bowls and on the opposite side, on like the right side of the balcony, there's kind of like a little wash station, I suppose, for clothes and dishes and stuff. And she kind of carts your 3 bowls over and
Madam, please, let me help.
Oh no, I've got this. You get your things.
I have my things.
Okay, you've got your things. She like peeks inside at Ren putting on his pants.
With my passive, do I see that she's peeking in?
Sure, yeah. You kind of like catch a glimpse. She's like, "Whoop."
Then I start putting on pants slower.
Oh man, she pulls away at first, and stays pulled away. She's washing the dishes, kind of looking at the dishes. So kind of in the middle of the balcony, there's a winding staircase that goes down to a little walkway. Actually, a good way to imagine how all of these houses that are like built up against the wall, kind of like imagine the underside of bleachers.
Okay.
Like with like buildings built into it, you know, like kind of on stilts and stuff. So like there isn't really solid ground for a good like 10 stories, you know. It's just like wooden stilts and buildings built on buildings, and it's very loose structure. Imagine like like lots of scaffolding with houses built into it, and you guys are kind of on the top of that kind of not entirely up the slope, but you're not on one of the sub-buildings, so that's good. You're kind of on the top of a stack, which is good. But there is a winding staircase that goes downwards into that kind of scaffolding area, and the stairs kind of start shaking, and, you know, as if someone is kind of making their way up them.
Sounds like we have a guest.
So,
I'm just still stuffing my face while watching.
Slash is looking in that direction.
Okay. Yep. So eventually a figure kind of makes his way up, peeks his head up. It's the half-elf that led you through when you came into the slums earlier this morning, you were led by a woman into the slums to a point, and then another man took over, a half-elf, and he kind of took you back the opposite direction and brought you to the throne room. That same half-elf kind of pokes his head above the balcony to see, sees all of you are awake and sees, oh goodness, what's her name? Edrin, sorry. He kind of sees Edrin watching the bowls, and he's like, oh, and he kind of continues walking up the steps, and he kind of looks over all of you and sees her watching boys and goes, oh, afternoon, Eddie. You making these boys eat your goblin stew already? She kind of
always loved a good goblin.
She kind of chuckles. She's like, oh no, my boy, I'm treating them to the Black Fang this afternoon. And she flashes an eye at each of you, and she's kind of trying to stifle a laugh.
I don't stop eating at all.
Yeah.
Well, whatever the food was, it was very good now, so I cannot complain.
I've had much worse.
He kind of looks in and is like, oh fuck, and looks out. He kind of averts his eyes. He's looking at you, Kaz. He's like, anyway, I've been sent to gather you. Draxan has requested your audience. Kaz, you know that is the Slumlord's real name. Draxan.
Draxan!
You don't have to put on the red light.
Oh, it hurts.
Oh.
It hurts to laugh, but that was too good.
Oh my god. Anyway, yeah, so he's just kind of standing patiently. He kind of hops over and helps Edrin with some of the bowls. She tries to get him to stop, but he doesn't.
You let me know when I'm dressed.
You're dressed?
Cool. If they're still working on the bowls, I snap my fingers and press digitate them clean.
She, sets an empty bowl down, and you snap your fingers, and she kind of looks around. She's like, they're already clean. That was the last one, but thank you.
It's like, it might have, maybe it had some soap residue on it, and, snap.
It, dries down. She's like, oh, okay. And she kind of stacks them and takes them inside and puts them in that cupboard up against the wall. Anyway, if you'll come with me.
Right away.
Yeah. Okay. Everyone is following?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
And I take the bowl with me if I'm not done yet.
I'd imagine you are.
Okay.
It's not like a huge bowl, the way I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was mostly meat with a little bit of... It was kind of like... What's the way... Have you ever had, like pot roast? And you don't eat it while it's in the liquid, but it's been in the the brine and nut stuff, so it's just really just soaking wet meat that's really good. That's basically what that last bowl of stew was.
Okay.
It was real good. And yeah, you finish your bowl, and she kind of comes out of the room and goes to the wash station. Ren, as you're kind of mounting the stairs at the back of the group, she's like, "Can you maybe do the?"
I'm already snapping.
She's like, oh, thank you. And she runs it inside. Yeah, so he's leading you down the stairs, which leads, I mean, immediately into like the sub-levels of this place, and there's various walkways, and at points you can look down and kind of see down to the ground, but it's basically just like a maze of like catwalks and scaffolding, buildings underneath buildings, and just it's an interesting architectural kind of style that it looks more like something that you'd find in a cave than out in the open, but there is just about every use of space you could imagine as being utilized. There's not a lot of wasted space except for places where like there's just supports to hold up buildings. But you kind of snake your way through this suspended walkways and downstairs and stuff until you eventually find yourself out into the slums proper. So you're back kind of in the mud, little wooden, slightly raised wooden walkways through, kind of a little bit of grass, but kind of just imagine a swamp, or more like a marsh if the trees had been removed. So it's just kind of like patches of grass, little puddles everywhere, but there are walkways kind of going through it, and there are tents, on every ounce of dry land, and there are shacks, somewhat suspended above the water, really small ones. He leads you... Oh, let me pull up my map. He leads you past, between this kind of large cathedral-like building and between the watchtower that has fallen off of the identical building to the Drunken Owl. It lays kind of, if you imagine the building long ways, like it's stretching from east to west, the tower has fallen that way as well. So as you pass this tower, it's the fallen watchtower, which lays on its side, it's got tents and stalls built up against it, and you can see into it through cracks in the ceiling and through just, holes everywhere, and there are like, tents inside of it, there are hammocks kind of strung up from wall to wall. Just every ounce of space is being utilized in this place. But eventually, you come to a large lake that is in the middle of this kind of central slums area, and it's got a bunch of bridges and pathways and kind of like dock-like structures in the middle of it, buildings on that and tents, and it appears to be some sort of marketplace. And as he leads you over these bridges, Kaz, you've all seen this before, you actually get a few looks from people. Not ugly looks, but recognizing looks, I suppose, and maybe a few of them kind of, raise an eyebrow like, I wonder what he's doing here. He kind of walks you into this marketplace, and a man, as he's walking and kind of trying to stay focused, a man kind of rushes up to him, grabs him very excitedly, and he's like, Did you hear? Did you hear? And he's like, "Whoa, hear what? Elric caught another black fang. He's selling it at the market." And he runs off and into this kind of crowd that's gathering around the market. What? Fuck off. Go. Be a cat. Do cat things. Eat. Hunt for your food, you little bitch. Okay. Excuse me. And yeah, so he kind of leads you into the middle of this busy market. There's a large crowd gathered around one particular stall. Yeah, so as you kind of, he breaks through this crowd, kind of
Busy
parts.
today.
Yeah, no. A little, no busier than usual, really. Move aside. And he kind of like moves aside. And you, eventually, he kind of splits the sea of people around you guys. Thogak, they kind of part, and like maybe bump into you a little bit and like turn to say something, and then they just stop. And like, and you would notice probably that you were getting a lot of looks, actually. But something is holding their attention more than you. And as you guys break your way through this crowd and kind of come to the inner circle of this, kind of circle crowd gathering around one particular stall, you lay eyes on that same Dragonborn from earlier this morning, wearing very similar, just very black, tattered, raggedy clothes. The white wraps kind of on his forearms. As you get closer now, you can see that he is definitely a Dragonborn. Although there is something more reptilian about his appearance, so his head shape almost is more like that of like an alligator or a crocodile. but he is definitely still a dragonborn. Just, he kind of raises an arm to his mouth and wipes away some kind of weird translucent fluid that's kind of leaking from the corner of his mouth. And he is talking to what looks like a smaller kind of wood elf man. And both of them are standing next to a giant snake, probably 30 feet long. Just huge, round, thick snake, very anaconda-like in its appearance, except that it is black, and on its back, along the kind of the ridge of the spine, there is a very bark-like, armor-looking texture that does not wrap all the way around to the belly, but it is kind of wrapped and coiled around this man's stall, and from the tail, he has already started kind of like cutting pieces of it off. It looks like he's already removed the teeth from the mouth rin, you've noticed. And he's kind of already like skinning it and just preparing it and stuff. And this huge crowd of people have gathered around.
So this is the Black Fang, eh?
And yeah, you would know that this is a snake that is native to the swamps outside of Blackbriar. Although ones that are this large are hard to come by, and if you do come by them, you don't want to come by them. So, yes.
So, I would like to approach the two.
Okay. He,
And,
yeah.
I am as well.
Okay.
and as I do, I want to say, so which great hunter brought this prize to the table?
Kazar, good to see you. Well, Ranger Elric, of course. It's caught another Black Fang. And he points at the wood elf standing next to him.
Most impressive deed, my good sir.
Thank you
You
very
killed
much.
this?
I did, yes.
But you're so small.
Well, I have years of experience in this swamp.
Never
Experiences.
underestimate them.
Yes, very. Yes.
Never underestimate a wood elf, let alone this particular ranger.
You have never met him specifically, but you have
Okay.
heard of him in the slums. He is
Done.
the foremost ranger. I guess, yeah. So you do know that people aren't necessarily supposed to leave the city just because of how dangerous it is in the swamps. But the slums do have certain routes, kind of, through natural sort of cave-like places that are in the slums, hidden by a lot of the shacks that do lead into the swamps. And since they cannot really source food from inside the city very well, they do have rangers that go out and gather food like this, and he is one of the foremost. He's almost a household name. He is a household name in the slums.
And I'm going to extend my hand towards him. Great to finally put a face to the name.
He looks at you and kind of goes to shake your hand, and his hand stops before it reaches yours as he kind of looks you over, and you see something kind of set in his eyes, perhaps race related. But eventually he does kind of like shake his head, like, shake himself off a little bit, and he grabs her hand and very proudly shakes it.
My God, he shook himself off.
Oh my God.
Don't worry. I know my looks may be a little untrustworthy, but
Yeah,
Just
his
as
eyes are a
trustworthy.
little weird, but he's okay.
I'm just as trustworthy as any other elf in this godforsaken town.
He does look at your eyes.
Not trustworthy.
Yeah, he kind of scoffs at that. He's like, yes. You do have peculiar eyes, friend. Well, how does that happen to a person?
Shake it off
It's a
too
story
much.
for another day.
Ah, yes, indeed. The Draxan kind of like, he's watching you two converse, and he looks very happy. And he, kind of looks at you,
Feel
Kes,
like
and
a
says,
matchmaker.
Friday Night Rumble! No, he kind of looks at you two, and he looks at you, Kes, and says, give me just a moment. Very well done, Master Elric. This will feed our people for a week at least. Come, my family. enjoy the spoils of our community. And he kind of beckons everyone to come in, and Elric starts handing out knives to various half elves and men and half orcs and a lot of other races. Maybe a Githyanki you see, like not people you would see in the city proper a lot, Kaz. Little more races leaning more towards monstrous, and he starts handing knives out to various women and men and children, and they start kind of cutting off very measured slivers, like they know how much to cut off, and they kind of take their piece of meat and make way for other people. It's a very rehearsed scene for such a large gathering of people, you guys might think. But he gives Elric a pat on the back, and kind of like walks out of the crowd, and he beckons for your party to follow.
I follow at once. So Draxan, my apologies for visiting your.
It is no problem.
In such unfortunate circumstance.
You know you are always welcome here, friend.
But of course.
Tell me, how go things in the city?
Not well, not anymore. These two got into a very keen type of trouble.
Yes.
Yes, we've killed many.
Many who?
Thieves Guild.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yes, might you fill me in your predicament? My spies were not able to communicate with me this morning.
Well, I believe that would be a story better told by those two. After all, the larger one had a particularly close friend of his dead, and him, yes, he was, much like I was, caught in the crossfire a little bit, but he seemed a bit more keen on battle than I was.
The guy was very nice to me. I didn't think he deserved to die. I wanted to know why.
And you openly attacked the Thieves Guild.
No,
They openly attacked us.
I openly enslaved one of their minds. Attacking started on someone else's behalf.
He's not shy with his sorceries.
You keep using that word.
You must not be from around here. He speaks that at you, Rin.
I think for a second, no fucking shit. And you go, no.
He kind of looks at you, Thogak, as well, and he looks you up and down. He says, "Nor you."
I was born here.
Do you say that?
That is...
No.
Okay. Yeah, so he looks back at you, Kaz, and says, you say they killed a friend of his?
Yes, Sansan, wasn't?
Yes.
This Sansan, what was he to you?
A gnome.
I nod.
He's a very literal individual.
I can see that. Yeah. A school of people kind of are crossing one of the pathways, so he stops to let them intersect. Keep in mind, you guys are kind of walking through the slums as this conversation is taking place.
Yeah.
So he kind of gets...
I am constantly cleaning my shoes with prestidigitation.
Oh, you have to. These are very muddy planks. This is a very muddy area. The people are very dirty. Figured. Yeah, but they don't seem to mind too much. He sees you do that. I don't seem to
give a shit either.
Yeah, he sees you do that, or he sees you do that, Ren, and he kind of like looks at you like, "Oh, you're one of those." This is basically the best way to describe the look. He kind of like raises an eyebrow, and he looks back at you, Thorak, and he says, "Was he a mentor, a guide, a friend, a family? Never mind, not family. Clearly, if he was a gnome,
a guide and a friend.
Guide and a friend. What was he guiding you to do?"
just explained it. He
was guiding him to do Evelyn.
Evelyn.
He likes strong women.
He looks at you, Thogak,
yes,
like,
that's correct.
please clear that up.
I do, in fact, like strong women.
He looks
But
at you, Kaz.
He was guiding me to help me find Evelyn.
Evelyn.
Friend of his.
Friend of yours, okay. I only ask because it is highly irregular that the Thieves Guild would so openly murder someone in the streets. Normally they at least take them prisoner first. Do it in their caves.
We were warned we were getting too close to something.
We had some very...
Hold on.
Go ahead.
I'm getting my notes. You talk.
Okay. As for that, yes, I've been hearing some very unsettling things coming from the Thieves Guild side. On top of that, the attacks on this establishments have been increasing, as you probably very well know.
I have heard as much.
But it looks like they've been getting themselves into some especially unsavory business.
Do you know any more of this? I've only heard rumors.
I know what I do. I could go into detail perhaps once we either get into private or these two are confirmed to be on our side.
I understand. Shall we? And the people have, moved past, so he's able to keep walking you guys to the slums. Kelsey, you need more time to look up your notes? Or?
No, I'm good.
Okay. So he kind of walks you guys, and you guys arrive now at this throne room of his, which once again is, it has what looks like a door in the back for some sort of room, but it doesn't have all of the back rooms that the Drunken Owl has. Instead, it is mostly one large room, unimpeded by a second story or anything. It's just, imagine like a large mead hall. With this kind of mangled throne of wood and like broken rafters, and probably every piece of the ceiling that's fallen out just kind of got like nailed roughly together into a seat for him. And he...
I sniffle and say, homie.
Yes. I never would have liked a place like this, but my people thought it necessary for the leader. As you do approach the throne, actually, there are like a few children. So like there's like a few children standing around the throne. One of them is like sitting in it, kind of with his chin up, and he's like, "I declare that oh shit!" And he sees Draxan coming, and they like scurry off, kind of behind the throne, and like run out of the room, like hop through a hole in the wall.
They throw a smoke bomb on the ground and go, "Scatter!
Scatter!"
I lightly chuckle. Looks like you have a new ruler to contend with.
I've been contending with him for a very long time. How are your children?
Not well.
How so?
Big guy of the Thieves Guild made some unsavory threats towards them. And I don't imagine... Well, they saw my face last night.
Who saw your face?
The Thieves Guild. They were looking for me after everything went down.
Were any left alive that might have seen you as... Well, you know.
No.
This is good at least.
Wait. I may have been a bit of a fool.
You are an elf.
I am an elf.
He's right, you are an elf. He kind of looks at you like... He looks at you, Kaz, very like, what the fuck? And then kind of laughs it off, and says, anyway, you two make yourself comfortable. I will have words with Kazara here in private for a moment, if you don't mind. Kaz, and he kind of beckons you into the back room. He holds the door open for you.
What's in this room?
It's just a large room. There are pillars kind of in the middle of the room, rafters, broken rafters, holes in the ceiling, holes in the wall, a throne, a throne-ish chair, and not much more than that, really. There's a few people kind of collected at the corners conversing, or, a few children peeking in through the walls, playing games, running around, giggling, stuff like that.
Then I'm just gonna lay down.
There's a lay down right in the middle of the floor, just perfect plank.
Yep.
Okay.
Just, on my back, just kind of patting my stomach as it's completely full and I'm still kind of walking it off.
Yeah.
I start playing jaunty music.
Jaunty music, okay. A small crowd gathers. Children mostly kind of like creep up to you and kind of like, stand there holding hats, kind of fidgeting with them in their hands, just watching you play. Rather transfixed, actually.
And Splash is kind of like flying around, like trying to be a spectacle.
Oh man, they get a kick out of that. They look very entertained. Keegan, I'm going to ask you to lower the veil. Mark and Kelsey, we are going to converse
real
privately.
fast.
Yep.
What color scales does Draxan have?
They are very black with scuff marks around the edges, kind of. Let me find that picture. Actually, there's a picture Keegan sent me long ago. That
Long
was
ago.
reference.
Long
And
time
it's
ago.
it's pretty exact except for the he doesn't have the bandages in this picture. But just imagine this character with, instead of the lightning on his arms, white bandages, kind of wrapped up his wrists.
And Draxan is Draxan?
Yes.
Okay.
AKA the Slumlord.
Yes.
Did everyone get that picture?
I got the picture.
Okay,
Yes.
excellent. So yeah, just imagine that with like bandages at the arms. But yeah. So you guys feel free to do stuff in character. I won't hear it. Whatever. But Keegan and I will be right back. Okay, let me know when you have them muted.
They are muted.
Excellent. Okay. So yeah, Draxan kind of pulls you in and shuts the door. He's kind of got a smile across his face, and as the door shuts, he just goes like full serious, and he kind of turns around and grabs you and says, "Tell me what you know."
What I know. Well, starting from the top. They sent me to kill the Watcher.
To
They
kill
hired
him?
me to do that. To kill him. Well, no, bring him in alive. Forgive me, my mind's been racing.
No, of course, it's fine. Take your time, of course. And he kind of like realizes he's holding you, and he kind of like lets go and walks, kind of starts pacing around the room.
I kind of rub my shoulder. Still keeping your claws sharp. But yes, they hired me to capture him alive. If not, well, they had a couple of individuals precious to me held up, to say the least.
Who?
Who?
Yes. Anyone specific or just in general?
Well, big man.
You met with him
His name is
yourself
escaping me
then?
right now.
You don't need to. He knows who you're talking about. Ed Stone,
Okay.
though, for reference.
Yeah, Ed Stone, thank you. And I thought it was Edward. and I was like,
Edard.
that doesn't-
Stoneful, but
Edard,
everyone
thank
calls
you.
him Ed. Yeah. Or just Stone.
I met with him in person, yes.
This is highly peculiar. Keep going.
Yes, I met with Skiz as well, who gave me information. A certain man who had gone missing for quite some time had turned back up. He was speaking what seemed to be nonsense, but something caught Skiz and I's attention. And as for everything else, it's been primarily a blur. Those two broke out in the fight just outside of my home as I was watching over a discussion that was taking place. We killed some... heavens, at least 10 men, it seemed.
10 thieves?
Yes. And I, of course, engaged in the fight because I was curious as to what was going down, and before I knew it, I was being attacked by the thieves. They would not heed my calls nor warnings. So,
They must have been on edge then.
no doubt. We captured two intent on interrogating them to find out what we knew before. A full contingent of men led by the local leader started searching the streets, and before I knew it, they were knocking on my door. One of your spies, of course, was coming to me to warn me, but they knew where I'd lived, and they were intent on finding me. And I did not want to hang out to investigate as to why. So, we followed your spy's advice. We got spotted here or there. One of the men that we were intent on interrogating, we finished off, but the other one, it was a kid. I couldn't bring myself to finish him off.
And this is the one you think that might know who you are?
Yes, I do believe so. I killed his friend before his eyes, so I don't believe he'd be keen on forgetting me either. However, I do know he was part of the second wave, and I had already been, well, engaged before he had arrived, so possible.
Well, perhaps there is hope in that.
Very little hope, I would dare say, my friend. Very little.
He kind of sits and thinks about what you've told him for a second. And then he turns to you and says, so, who are they then? And he kind of points, motions his hand to the door. What bearing do they have on this issue?
From what I know, very little. They were fools. The large one's looking for a friend, Evelyn. He told you. Initially I thought it was an elf. No, he showed me a picture. And, well, appears to be a very attractive human, if anything. Said she fought well. Then when I said with a sword, he hesitantly said yes. So, I dare say she might be a little bit more than what meets the eye.
He thinks she's here.
A year ago.
A year ago. I've heard of no such woman.
Neither have I. And I doubt asking around will meet me any kind of... well, any kind of answer.
It sounds like he and his guide were openly attacked in the streets, which is irregular.
They said they got too close to something. From what I could tell, they were just going about. So, either the Thieves Guild is picking up on its aggression, or there is something seriously dangerous that they're trying to keep under wraps.
I had suspecting something like this.
What news have you heard?
Not much. Only whispers of some sort of plot.
In a town of whispers, they heard mostly what can be heard.
It seems that Stone is keeping his plans to himself. Not even his generals know of what he is planning. But it seems as if he is planning something I feel...
That's
And he puts a kind of a hand on your shoulder, Kaz. He says, I feel there is a change coming. Know that my men are standing by to fight. Hopefully it will not come to that, but... I don't know if you felt it. The air grows thicker every day. The clouds grow denser. There is no doubt a storm lingering on the horizon. These men, are they your allies? And he kind of gestures towards the door one more time.
They fought with me. They did not stab my back. They had many opportunities to. They did not throw me to the wolves nor the Thieves Guild when they had the opportunity. I dare say I trust them about as much as I trust anyone in this town. As much as can be trusted, anyway.
No, understand it. Then, I would treat them as your friends. If they killed the Thieves Guild, then surely they do not belong to it.
I dare say I agree.
We need every hand we can gather, and... Kaz, I know I do not rule over you, or necessarily tell you what to do, but, if you would, I would assign you with figuring out what is going on in this city. Very well.
Let us pray for fair weather, my friend.
I do not think it's so, but I will do my best. And he kind of goes to open the door, and he goes to open the door, and so we're gonna do something a little odd. If you would leave them muted, I'm going to unmute you, or unmute them and mute you real quick, and then I will unmute you and let you know when to unmute them. So just leave them muted. I'm gonna mute you. All right. So just hang out for a second. Sorry. Alright guys, I am back. I've muted Keegan to kind of go over some stuff that happens while you are waiting on them, so... Ooh, where did he go? Oh, Kelsey's here. Are you good to go? Okay. So you guys are kind of standing out in this throne room, right? Laying down in this throne room, and Rin is standing... Rin, are you standing near Thogak, who is laying down in the middle of the floor in this throne room, playing your drums? Okay. Oh lord, yeah. There's, I mean, in the middle of this hall, I think about it kind of like, generally size-wise, like, a little, kind of like Edoras in Lord of the Rings, Kelsey, and Mark, if you know, the center of Rohan and the Lord of the Rings, that kind of mead hall. Just, I guess, think of a mead hall, but a little more open. Except, whereas in like a nice throne room or a mead hall, there would be columns kind of towards the middle. This place doesn't have columns, but it does have like braces kind of intermittently scattered. But it is constructed of wood, very much like a large barn, like the Drunken Owl. But yes, so I imagine you're standing kind of right in the middle, and you are doing a performance. Give me a performance check. Perfect. Okay, that's good enough. Yeah, so you kind of start playing your drums. Are you going full out, or are you just giving like a little bit of a drum riff, like... Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so you definitely gather a crowd of mostly children at first, who are, muddy. They've been playing in the mud, you can tell, and they're wearing kind of raggedy clothes and caps and the like, and they kind of stop what they're doing and kind of gather around you as you play. And they just seem entirely entranced by your performance. So much so that they don't even notice the Goliath laying at your feet. But yeah, I mean, really, over the sound of the music, you don't hear much from the other room for the majority of your performance, which only lasts a few minutes. We'll just say, continuity-wise, about the length that I was gone talking to Keegan. So yeah, every now and then you hear like a slightly raised voice, but nothing much. No yelling, no arguing. They're kind of trying to keep it low, but the walls themselves are not necessarily thick. But you don't, even with your passives, hear much of what the conversation is. Not that you'd be listening, anyways. It doesn't sound like so. Yeah, you play for a while, and right as your performance is kind of ending, the doors at the and Thogak, you would hear this. The doors opposite the throne at the end of the hall are thrown open, and three figures enter. The doors are thrown open rather loudly, so this might jar you to look, Thogak. Would you look? Okay. So you turn your head, kind of laying on the ground. Ren, you are stood in the middle with your drums. And three figures enter this room. All three of them are wearing black leather armor with the Thieves Guild sigil on the chest. One of them, though, the one that stands in the middle, sorry, the one, if you're looking at them, so over them, the middleman's right shoulder to you guys, it would be your left. So to the left of the man, to your left of the man, there is a tabaxi wearing that armor, kind of twirling a knife in his hand. Quite acrobatically, actually. He's very, very skilled at doing so. He's got various pouches on his person. He's got a short sword kind of slung behind his back. That's to the left of this man in the middle. To the right is a what looks like a drow, actually, wearing the same Thieves Guild leather armor. And in the middle is what looks like an elderly man, very slim. He's wearing more of a coat over his armor, so kind of a very nice, like a little bit kind of dustery, but not quite. Just a nice thick leather coat. And he is mostly balding, but not balded, older, probably in his 60s, if you had to guess. Very aged-faced, like brandy, just very defined lines in his face, very stern-looking. And this group of obvious Thieves Guild members walk into the hall and kind of stop just inside the door and are looking at everybody. Rin, all of the children that are around you as you play stop looking at you, look at this man, and the second they see this man and his small envoy enter, they scatter. Most of the people in the hall actually kind of move away, duck through a different door, or out a hole in the wall, and it is just you five in this big room right now. These men are not saying anything. Yeah. So, well, I will say, you're welcome to infer what you must, but the two on either side of the central figure are wearing clothes which look more officer-ish, I guess. So there's the standard Thieves Guild armor that you've seen, the goons you fought in the alleyway. And then I think you witnessed two different, what appeared to be like generals of the Thieves Guild. The two on either side of this central figure, they're wearing that armor, so they seem to be of a higher rank than a normal goon. Their armor is also nicer. And then the middle one is wearing very nice armor. Not dirty at all. It's very, very, very well kept. But other than that, yeah, they're standing and staring at the two of you very intensely. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, no, you're good to go. Thankfully, the gear. I mean, both of you, really, the gear you left behind wasn't important to everything. It's just helpful, but yeah. So they kind of look at you. I mean, it is very like for me right now as a Sergio Leone fan, I'm just in my head, it's just the opening of any Leone movie, basically, where it's just silent people looking at each other. It's very standoffish, but it does feel very standoffish. You know, these people look very tense and kind of upright, and the Tabaxi is kind of twirling the knife in between his fingers and in his hands, and tossing it, catching it in the other hand. He looks at the central man, who is shifted his gaze from Rin to you, Thogak. He is looking through you, it seems. I mean, just right into your soul. Into your eyes, but yeah, he kind of looks at him, and then kind of like gives a shrug, licks his lips, and the Tabaxi, he kind of starts making his way around the right side of the room, not looking at anything, kind of keeping an eye on his knife, but he's moving around a little bit more towards you guys, around the edges of the room. The drow, yeah, okay, yeah, okay. As he does that and you do that, the drow to this man's left, your right, the right of the room, and the way you're facing, he kind of starts to do the same thing. Like, he just starts pacing, looking up at the rafters, and he kind of just starts very slowly pacing around the left edge of the room, and the central figure is standing there in the door still. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. So the one in the middle, kind of, flips his coat backwards, and God, it's turned into a Sergio Leone movie. It's just what it has. So you know how, like, in a Western, someone will, like, flip their coat back so that their holster is behind their coat? For like he does that, but to the sheath of his rapier. So he's got a very nice rapier on his right hip, and he kind of puts his hand on the hilt and walks forward like a very few paces, very slowly. He kind of cracks a grin, and he says, sorry, you two going somewhere? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Zoom in on his hand, kind of like squeezing the pommel of his rapier a little bit. Yeah, but right about this time, the door behind you opens, the one that Kaz and Draxan walked through. Okay, Keegan, yeah, unmute them. Let me know when you're good. Okay, so, yeah, Kaz and Draxan, you, open the door and immediately how close are you to the door by now, if you guys were backing up? So the throne is in the middle of the room. I kind of imagine you standing like right next to the throne. The door is like 6 feet behind the throne. No, it's, yeah. It is further back. It's right next to the wall, but you are in the middle of the room, so it's kind of like a third of the way between where the middle of the room and the back wall. So you're pretty close, yeah. So yeah, you open the door. Draxan kind of holds the door open for you, and you step out, Kaz, and right in front of you, you see Thogak initially, and he just whips out his great axe with his back to you. And then you notice on either side of them, towards the other end of the throne hall, to the left wall, there is a Tabaxi wearing Thieves Guild armor, nicer general Thieves Guild armor, which you know as Rain, one of the Thieves Guild generals. And to the right of the room is the drow, Fresic, I think his name is, which you also know as one of the generals of the Thieves Guild. He's to the right. Everyone kind of has like the Tabaxi is twirling a knife in his hand, and Fresic kind of has his arm on a short sword, his hand on a sheathed sword, very standoffish. And you see them initially, and Draxan sees them as he is holding the door open for you, and then both of you lay eyes on a figure who can only be Eddard Stone, standing in the middle of the room, a few steps in front of the doorway. And as you come out of the room, Kaz, he locks eyes on you, and he says, "Of course I'd find you here. What you been up to, Kaz?" Oh, he kind of like, sends it off a little bit. And Draxan sees Ed, and he kind of like storms past you, Kaz, and he says, "What are you doing here?" Yeah, so Ed kind of, yeah. He's standing next to you now. He stormed past Kazara, but he's standing just to your right. Okay. You received no invitation from me. Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, there are sides from what you can tell. One part of the city is trying to kill you, this part is keeping you safe. Yeah, I think you could discern that there are sides. Yeah, so he kind of does that. Ned Stone kind of like looks at the floor and walks in a little further. The two on either side of the room have kind of stopped moving and are leaning against the wall. The Devaxi's still kind of twirling a knife, a dagger more like, in his fingers. Ned Stone walks a few paces in and says, "Oh, I'm just tending to business." He's kind of looking up over you three. Specifically. Yeah, so he kind of, he moves his hand from the grip of his rapier down to, like, the top of the hilt, and places a thumb at the base of the basket. And Draxan kind of like looks at you and looks at him, and storms past you now. He's like, "No, do not fight in here." And he's kind of standing in the middle of you now. And he. Okay, yeah. He whips his head and looks at Stone, and he's like, snarling and breathing heavily now. And he says, "State your business." And Stone kind of relaxes a little as well. He takes his hand off of the rapier, or more like he moves it up to the top of the pommel again. He says, "You're harboring men who, well, plainly put, they killed my men. If I'm not mistaken, that violates our agreement." Yeah, Kaz? So I was told. Draxan kind of turns again to address Stone. He says, "They say they were attacked. They were only acting in self-defense. I have every right to harbor them if I will." And Stone kind of ponders this for a second. A tumbleweed blows across the, no, not really. So it kind of like rolls in from one side of like a hole in the wall, kind of at the base of the wall, one of the ones the children kept crawling through. And like right next to the drow, and he like jumps and like puts his hand on his short sword as if to draw it as this tumbleweed like rolls out, and he like kind of sees it and stops, and he kind of looks around and he meets eyes with you, Rin. Mm. The drow, who is almost shaking now, he doesn't look very happy. He really looks like he is like, his arms are spring loaded, and he's doing everything in his power not to draw the short sword right now. And Ed Stone sees this, and he kind of looks at him. He says, "Frisick, I would suggest you shut your mouth, big friend." Fresick, the drow, Keegan, he does look kind of at them as they're goading him, and then he kind of locks eyes with you and exchanges a glare that you've exchanged with him before, no doubt. Just a very hateful, disdainful, just piercing gaze that he's giving you right now. Yeah, he kind of bares his teeth a little bit, and but he looks more and stands, and the tabaxi on the opposite wall is kind of like looking between you two, and Rin, you notice he's trying not to laugh as well. He's like stifling a laugh. You could cut the air with a knife. Or a battle axe, yes. Yeah. So, yeah. Draxan and yeah, okay, yeah, they're kind of looking at each other now, and he's, Draxan his attention has been more on, what's going on behind him, watching the tumbleweeds, and he's kind of like looking at you guys, like, trying to make sure, you know, he's kind of giving you a look, Rin, like, please don't start a fight. This is obviously a tense situation, you know, he's kind of flashing you eyes, like, don't. But he kind of whips his head back at Ed, and he says, if you require anything of me, state it now, or else leave. And Ed is kind of pondering this as well, and he kind of looks back at Draxan and he says, if you wouldn't mind, I suppose I could take these men as my prisoners, seeing as they did quite a number on a few of my men, defense or not. Draxan kind of looks back at you guys, and then looks back at Ed, and he says, absolutely not. As of now, they are citizens of these slums, and if any harm comes to them, I would count it as an act of war. No, he will not have you. And he kind of holds up a hand towards you. And Ed kind of like raises an eyebrow at war, and he looks at Draxan and he says, war? You're sure you could win a war, friend? Okay, alright, I understand. And he kind of like takes his hand off his rapier, and he holds a hand up to his right and to his left, and Fresick, the drow, kind of very shakily and angrily takes his hand off of the pommel of his short sword, and the tabaxi kind of like flips the knife up in the air and catches it by the hilt and sheathes it, and just they kind of both recline up against the wall now. Drow and Atabaxi, yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Not. They don't look similar though, because Kazara has. Do you have? He has silver skin, whereas Fresic has typical purple. Yeah. Oh yeah. Similar areas. Yeah. Really, that's the only thing. Hair and skin color is different, but they have kind of the same drowish features and ears. Yeah. Were you gonna do anything or? Oh, okay. Just clearing that up. Okay. Okay, yeah. So basically, he addresses Jackson again. He says, "But something does need to be done. I will have these men, or I mean, they could always leave my city." He kind of looks at you guys when he says that. Funny enough, Kaz, I'm a little disappointed in you. Was told you were a man who did jobs that he was assigned. Well, perhaps it's easier to engage in your job when you are not interfering in the business of others. Hmm. 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 You see, that's funny, because little birdies told me you never quite made it home last night, did you? Obviously, obvious reasons. I know. But you see, I heard you stop by the owl after our meeting, and then you well, you went past your home, didn't you? Now, they lost you after that. I don't know what you did after that, granted, but something smells fishy. Hmm. No, I do. I guess what I'm asking is there anything you'd like to tell me? Oh. Hmm. Hmm. I see. So what'll it be, Draxan? You're harboring these men then? And kind of, the Dragonborn looks back towards you guys and kind of in, more of an inquisitive gaze. He doesn't want to speak for you, from what you can tell. Yes, he's looking. Ed asks him if he is harboring you, and Drexan looks back at you. He looks back at Ed. And then he kind of looks down at the floor, and then he looks back up at Ed, and he says, "These men are under my protection. I will not have them killed in the streets. And he looks back at you, Kaz, while he says that. Ed says, very well. I will not harm a hair on their heads. Rain Frissick. And he kind of turns and walks, and the drow gives you that, just kind of finishes that nasty glare, Kaz, and kind of like whips his head away and walks towards the door. He kind of grins to himself. Mm-hmm. Kazari, you might take offense to that. Your skin, it's wrong! Yeah. So, yeah. So Fresic leaves, and the tabaxi up against the wall kind of gives you guys a nod. More of a courteous nod. And he pulls his dagger out. Yeah. He kind of pulls his dagger out and starts, fidgeting with it again as he walks, and Ed sees himself out of the hall. Yeah. The door shut behind them. No, you see the door close behind him. Rain closes the door behind them. Something needs to be done. And it seems as if you have made personal enemies out of Eddard Stone. Which means the second you leave these slums, you will surely be dead. But maybe this way, you can finish attending to your business. He looks at you. Thank you. We will need it in the end. Well, none of you are out of the neck of this woods. Fuck, none of you are out of the woods yet. He looks at you, Kaz, and he says, I fear fighting is upon us, whether or not this happens, or not. It's only a matter of time. But it seems that whatever you've been up to, and he looks at you, Thagak, it seems to matter to him. He wants you dead, no doubt. So, although it might be dangerous, I would encourage you, yes. Please do. Yeah, that's about all anyone knows of your quest. Okay. He looks at it and hands it back. Yeah. Old roads. Old woods, yeah, I got you, yeah. Oh, yes, of course. he, it seems so. Dinner's ready. Nothing. Ignore me. Who, Sanson? Yes, yes, Sanson had a list. Yes, unless you gave it back to Thogak, the mysterious figure in the alleyway. Yeah. Yes, let me see. Okay, he kind of flips through it. He gets to the page, which has all of the shop names crossed off, and at the bottom of which it has the Split Keg Tavern circled. Have you been here yet? And he kind of points to the Split Keg Tavern. To all of you. No, you haven't. None of you haven't. Well, it seems a point of interest. This owl place. Ah, yes, of course. Well, were you staying there? Okay. And you? And he looks at you, Thogak. Yes. Is that where your things are? Okay. Well, it is now known that you are belonging to the slums as of now, so you should not be attacked openly on the streets anymore. You should be able to make it there, make it anywhere in the city for that matter, to continue to pursue your cause, and I will do anything that I can to help in your quest, but stay cautious, watch your backs. Who? He looks at you so confused, he's like, Oh, yes, I know him. What, does he have some part of this, or? Okay. You are free to leave whenever, friend. Stay safe. He kind of gives you a nod. Very well. The door shuts behind you. Oh, Lord Almighty.
His music is very good.
It's interesting. Not my style.
I've not heard it. Well then, will you both be leaving then?
I dare say I might be. You said that you had an assignment for me.
Well, and he kind of looks at you, Thogak, for a moment.
By the way, Slash is still there, and I'm just outside the door. I'm listening through him.
Okay, Slash is like perched on a slightly fallen rafter. It's like hanging just below the middle of the room.
When he looks over at me, I just kind of like nod my head deep, I guess, in like a show of respect. I will assist in any way I can. If I can help with this mission quest here, I will.
If you want your friend back, it seems as if you don't have a choice. I would wager that her fate, along with yours, and clearly the fate of your guide, are somehow tied to whatever plot is occurring in this city. Kazara, I would have you help him finish his quest. And he hands you back the book. It seems like this is a good place to start. And he points at the Split Keg Tavern.
Well, friend, I dare say I'm your new guide. Don't get me killed.
Well, we might want to start just one before that to see why he was sent there.
My
We might
eyebrows
not
kind of
want to go
raise.
there first.
That may have a point. What say you, Draxan?
Whatever you think is best. Oh, and keep an eye out for the other, the strange one.
There are a lot of strange ones.
Yeah, the one that just left.
Ah, yes.
Slash flutters down and lands on Thogak.
Oh no, he left his bird.
Hello, bird.
Yes,
Nods at you.
It is not safe to travel alone, as you know. Keep an eye out for him, yes.
We'll keep an eye
For the
out
bird?
him.
No, for the man that had the bird.
Oh,
Rin, was it?
yes.
I believe so.
Anyway. Alright. Well, Draxan.
Kazara. He motions and someone kind of like rushes in and holds the door open for you too.
I
so-
give
Yeah,
I give a deep bow.
it is returned.
It was a pleasure. Thanks for everything. I will
Likewise.
repay you in full.
Don't die. That is my payment.
Oh,
I just give a deep like nod of my head, which is more than I give most people.
It's basically a human bow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And,
he returns it.
And I just head out.
Okay. So yeah, the door is open. Were you standing in front of the door or like next to the door, Ren?
Next to it.
Okay.
And if the door's open, I start walking further away.
So the door opens and you see Ren kind of skip out from the side of the door and like a little further down the path, and he's just kind of like.
Oh, your bird.
Yes, yes, that's what I was still here for.
He said it's not safe to travel alone, so you should come with me.
we'll get you stuff.
Okay, well, okay then.
Yes, we need
Can-
my stuff too.
Can we stop it up and talk to Archduke Crowiness at least?
At some point, yes. Soon, if you'd prefer.
I'd prefer soon. He's asking me to get back there in the morning.
It's...
Yes,
Oh,
you see
we
my
don't have
you
much
see my
time.
you see my predicament.
Yeah, it's about 2 or 3 in the afternoon. You guys think?
Well, we'll go see him tomorrow.
He said morning, after all.
Yes.
Kaz, I will say, you do know of who he's talking about. He's talking about Archibald Cronum, who, Doctor Clockwork, as Rhiannon refers to him as. You've only met him once, you think, but but you know that his shop.
Oh, it hurts.
So from where you are now, in the slums, you're in the south west portion of the city. The Drunken Owl is exactly like lateral across the city. It's in the north east corner almost. The Clockwork shop is in it's slightly north of the Drunken Owl, to the left a few blocks. Kind of, it's in the same area that you live in. No, actually, it's just to the left of it in Fressik's area. So yeah, but you guys are making your way out of the slums regardless. Yes.
Yes.
We all three of us want to go to the Owl.
Oh, okay. So you are going specifically to the Owl then.
Yes.
Okay.
Most certainly.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we are at a stopping point. If you want to stop, we can continue.
Guys, I would very much appreciate it. My mouth hurts.
Yeah. No, I figured as
I
much.
figured.
This is a really good
cry,
stopping
but I
point.
don't want to cry in front of you guys.
It's okay. You're practicing your fake crying as an actor, a man of performing
Yeah.
arts.
Exactly.
For when you have to perform those specifically emotionally, intense songs.
Oh!
Yeah, go on, get out of here.
Yeah, but yeah, just to round things off, you guys exit the slums in a very similar way that you entered. You kind of make your way through the back of a storefront, and step out onto the muddy, stone-lined building streets, leaning over the streets of Blackbriar, once again, into the rotten air and...
I see this is like an anime freeze frame. We're all like it's drawn like gritty almost. It's like, and in the background you hear like the ending of the To Be Continued JoJo's music.
And Thogak has his arm like raised up like in a fist, just
Yeah, you're raised up. I got I'm like sheathing drumsticks. Kaz in the back, like I don't believe I'm with these guys. And then you just see like fucking in the foreground, just Slash with his wings out, like whoo!
Yeah. Not a bad way of describing it.
Exactly.
No, yeah. So, you guys step out onto the Blackbriar streets with the Drunken Owl in your sights. After a very tense night in these streets, I imagine you would be slightly uncomfortable to be stepping out into them, even though there is a loose veil of protection over you. Don't mute anyone, Keegan.
Veil?
I just said the word. I said the word. I'm regretting it already. Yeah, so you now know that you are welcome to walk freely about Blackbriar once more, although you also know to watch your backs, because
I'm just
you
very
are now
disappointed in my
next guy.
spell list right now. I thought I took a spell and I didn't.
Oh no. But yeah, that's where we're
Yeah.
gonna wrap up tonight's session. So thank you guys very much for joining me.
Alright, thank you for hosting.
It turned into a spaghetti western movie right there in the middle, and I wasn't expecting that, but I'm very
I kind of
happy
enjoyed
about
it.
Oh, you
Yeah.
missed the part where when you were muted, some great stuff happened. It was just exactly like a scene from many of the movies I love. It was great. But
Which is why the tumbleweed had to come through.
yeah.
just saying you should like clip just that portion and like have him watch it or something.
I really might. I mean, I'm gonna get you guys the links to these so that you can watch them back, because it will be helpful, no doubt. Each of you already has a bunch of information that is useful in its own right that you're having to keep up with and stuff. So I'm going to send you guys links to watch and ask that you don't watch the solo sessions.
Yeah.
Specifically, because I don't want you guys to know what, without having it relayed to you. But also, the intro to the first session is shaky as well, because I recap each of the solo sessions, so if you watch that one as well. But, yeah, I'm going to start sending you guys the links to these episodes so you can watch them back if you would like.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
I will say I apologize if some of my information is shaky right now. With the loss of my phone and inability to access DBD or D&D Beyond right now, I have no information.
Yeah, that's fine. And just, ask me if you ever need to recount any information.
Okay.
Also, I'm sorry, Rin is still used to the Feywild.
Oh, of course. Tricksters and the like. I'll tell you what, I'm really excited to get back to the Drunken Owl this week. Or next week.
Yeah.
I love that setting. It's such a fun place. Yeah.
I'm fully expecting to go in there and there's gonna be a band that hates me because I upstaged them.
Alright.
Dude, I play Cycles bands like at Cycles patrons.
So, well, I will be right back.
Alrighty. Yeah, I'm gonna end the stream.